Before we even got started, we were having technical difficulties.
Whoa. Are we recording?
Yeah, well, we're recording now.
Holy fuck!
Whoa!
What a way to open an episode.
Let's start an episode on a high note. Hey guys. Oh, I better turn my phone to silent real quick. Not that anybody's gonna call me at 1 a.m., but...
my phone's across the room.
That's fine.
Guess what, guys?
We got stories.
We're telling stories today.
First, hope you guys like that video we threw together for you guys.
Like, a few days ago.
A few days ago, yeah. From the time we're recording, I uploaded it like an hour or two ago. We're still bald.
We are.
I would like to say I did that just for all you listeners, but that's false.
Well, it's true on my end.
It is true for Phil, but it's false for me because I'm committing to a costume. But anyway, we got stories.
I take that back. I didn't actually do it for you guys. I just did it just cause. He said he said he was gonna shave his head, and I was like, I'm gonna shave my head too. And he's like, really? And I was like, yeah. He's like, he didn't ask why. I don't have a reason why.
Mm-hmm.
Wild card, bitches.
Yeah, the ladies at the hair salon were confused. That just two of us walked in. And we're like, no hair, please.
Correct.
Like, you mean just really short? We're like, nope, just all the way.
Well, that's what they might have asked to you when I was there laughing in the background. She was like, was this a dare or something? And I was like, no, I'm gonna get it too. She's like, oh, okay. So we're bald.
Yeah, and we also have stories that we're gonna tell right now.
Oh Jesus,
Classic.
Truman.
What?
You got fantasy story.
I do.
Got a science fiction fantasy story.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to read mine first again?
That is the way we do things at the Chatmen.
Okay.
You got a title for this story?
Not yet.
Make it up.
Alright, I'm just gonna call this. You ready?
Yeah.
Growlard Superstar Soldier.
Whoa.
And the Rockman.
Whoa!
And also...
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's in this?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Whenever I bring up the chieftain of the Rockman, picture in your heads, everyone, in your minds and ears, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
This episode of the Chatmen's brought to you by The Rock. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
No, just a really big rock.
Yeah, well, that too.
That we're on. It's planet Earth. Good job.
Good job.
Alright.
Okay, let's get this story underway.
Alright. I gotta say, my stories, every story that I've been telling, they've progressively gotten more and more swear word littered.
Me too.
Yeah. So, and our Chatmen episodes, surprisingly. Maybe not surprisingly.
We just stopped putting on this fake, we don't cuss personality. We got rid of that because that's false. Very much false.
A little bit.
We're like sailors. We're sailing around.
We're sailing around the islands of swear words.
So why don't you read me that story?
Okay, here we go. Mercury is a death sentence for most humans. Unless you're a person like me. Hey fellas, name's Growlard, superstar soldier / hero, and as of late, a member of the Venusian Rebellion. Perhaps you've heard of me. Growlard held a cigarette-shaped stick up to his mouth and let out a puff of glowy smoke vapor stuff. I got my title not from good deeds alone, but from being really awesome and amazing at all the things that I do. He looked around the circle of rockmen that surrounded him with metal spears and knives and pointy, unfriendly weapon-like objects. I see that my radiant charm isn't enough to impress you, but let me tell you guys something. I'm not here to trespass in your cave here. I was just escaping from the Martian prison cell that was holding me outside your cave, and I was looking for some help. Perhaps you guys can help me? A rockman bigger than all the other rockmen looked kind of like the chieftain of the Boulder Boys.
He also kind of looked like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Apparently so. Beat his rocky chest with his rocky fists, which made a noise very threatening to normal, fleshy, not rocky human beings. Growlard backed up from the chieftain a bit. Hey guys, let's be friends here. But a Rockman football tackled him from behind and started beating the ever-living shit out of him. Grog damn it! Chunks of matter flew from the scene as the Rockman pounded the fuck out of the back of Growlard's head. But when the dust cleared, it was revealed that it was not Growlard's skull that was becoming obliterated. It was the Rockman's fists.
Oh my god. Wow. This guy's pretty cool.
The Rockman stumbled back, staring at his fingerless hands, and let out a terrified wail. Growlard rose and dusted himself off. Look, fellas, I'm not here to hurt you. Let's work together, and maybe we can leave this awful, deserty, canyon-like place. Canyon-y place. The chieftain stepped forward and approached Growlard. He stood up straighter, ridding himself of his gorilla-like posture, and showed off his full height. He looked down upon Growlard as he towered over him. He gazed at the others and let out a single grunt before they all began drumming their shoulders and knees while jumping up and down. It would be more... sound rockier, but anyway. I don't know what just happened, but it looks like we're cool now. The Rockman, missing all his fingers, approached Growlard and bowed before, slinking back off into the crowd. I'm probably gonna be here for a while, but it's good to have some friends in the meantime, Growlard said, looking at each of them. Meanwhile, in outer space, I'm going to reintroduce the party for our listeners real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, we got Chadwick, Worm Killer and Mercenary.
Wait, what was his name?
Chadwick.
Okay, there you go. You said it wrong the first time.
Chadwick.
You said Chadwork.
Okay. We got Chadwick, a worm killer and mercenary. He hates worms with a passion because, quote-unquote, they killed his family. How did that happen? Well, we might find out in a later story. Who knows? He's a coward and scumbag who only cares about himself, money, and the satisfaction of killing the organisms that took his only true care in his only true care in the world, his family. He once had a mission to kill a really large-ass space worm that was atop a large meteor on a course for Earth, but instead discovering that this huge winged airship was actually a huge winged spaceship as well. And after a long, uneventful fight of him getting his own ass kicked over and over by the space worm, he decided to let it die with the meteorite that would collide with the planet, thus ending all of Earth's worm problems along with the Earth itself, and putting to rest the entirety of his terrible memories on that wasteland planet. So Earth is destroyed.
Yeah, it's gone. So sad.
There's Desmond. He's next. He's arguably the brains of the operation. I haven't really highlighted that in any of my stories.
I would argue that. I would argue he's the brains.
Okay.
Just because you said he was.
Okay, good. He has the ability where he has this ability where he involuntarily sees into the near future for reasons even he himself doesn't know. I got a plan for that later.
Oh, shit.
But I'll say that in another story as well, because there's just so much shit going on.
Yeah, so much.
And also, he gets laptop went black for a second.
You should probably plug your laptop in so it doesn't hibernate on you while we're trying to read a story.
Alright.
Okay,
here we go. And he gets obsessive-compulsive impulses, that's a fucking awkward sentence, to do random things that end up saving his life later on in time. That was kind of touched upon in the second story of mine. What is the story behind his ability? Hold your horses, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll tell you sometime. He's also the only purebred Earthling besides Chadwick in my series. They both came from Earth, but while Chadwick felt stuck there, Desmond, being a scavenger and a wanderer, was exploring the ruins of Earth's crumbling buildings, and he was quite fond of that planet. But suddenly, a giant meteor came down and took out the Earth beneath him. Luckily, he had the compulsion to jump on the back of his Space Eagle and ride to safety, which brings us to our next hero, Hawking, Desmond's trusty Space Eagle.
So trusty.
Like all the animals with the prefix space in their titles, just as the space worm, it is an animal that was bred through naturally evolved or genetically modified means to be able to survive the vacuum of space. With an extremely efficient digestive system, this animal survives almost completely off food and water and has tensor organ systems that can resist the anti-pressure of the space's vacuum.
Did you write all the science before or after you talked to that guy?
Talk to what guy?
The guy on Omegle.
Omegle?
Yeah,
Oh.
Yeah, weren't you? And he was like...
Oh, yeah. And he was talking about... Why did that doesn't even make any sense.
You can't just have animals in space.
That's
and Phil's
right.
like, yeah, yes you can.
Yes, you can. Yeah, this was well, I think I typed some of it before and some of it after to try and highlight it. It was actually I go back to space animals and talk about it a second time in this story, and that was kind of like...
Okay.
Anyway, they were set on a quest by Allison, the Lizzaman of the gator-like ethnicity, to pick up Growlard from the reinforced Martian prison that was installed on Mercury's planet. A Martian prison that was installed on Mercury's planet, because the Martian Empire is the owner of this facility. Alright. Problem is, when they got close, a little bit of an alarm was set off, and the facility was flashing and blaring like a choir of starlight giant elephant parrots.
Whoa. Just threw all that shit together.
Starlight giant elephant parrots.
Whoa.
Alright. Oh, for Paragox's sake, what the hell was that? Chadwick rolled out of bed. I can't leave you to fly the wham ass for like 12 seconds without you setting shit off. The hell, man. A transmission appeared on the screen. It was King Dalmatian. Hello, Desmond! Desmond slid back in his seat. God damn it. What the fuck do you want? I'm going to let you know now that I have hired 4 bounty hunters after you, and they are hot on your trail. Desmond threw his arms up in the air. Why are you telling us this? Literally, if it just happened, we wouldn't have a chance to know and we could get away. Or, we wouldn't have a chance to know and get away. I'm telling you because I want you to get scared and panic and try to run. No, fuck him, Chadwick walked toward the screen. Even if it means dying, I don't want to give him the satisfaction of running around in panic a 9th time only to see nothing happen. But I really mean it this time, guys, Dalmatian giggled. No, fuck you, I'm turning this off. Chadwick switched off the transmission and got a good view of Mercury's horizon from the screen that Dalmatian's stupid vegetarian slender face was taking up. The blaring alarm had since ended. So this definitely isn't habitable for normal humans, so he might need to put on some spacesuits in the closet. I get the orange one, said Chadwick. I didn't put in names here.
Yeah.
You dick, you always get the orange one. That only leaves me with the options of the off-white egg color and the sea-gut blood or brown. Desmond whined.
I'd probably take the brown one.
But you don't know what sea-gut blooder is, Truman.
Yeah, but brown...
It could be...
Brown shows less dirt. If you wore a white suit and get a little bit dirty, you look disgusting.
You're absolutely wrong. They talk about space suits later in this story and what it means.
Okay.
Alright.
Okay.
Nobody likes a moaner, Desmond said, already tossing a stylish black duster over his orange jumpsuit. He's wearing a black duster over an orange jumpsuit. That's awesome. He donned his glass fishbowl helmet and opened the hatch. Desmond screamed, "No, what are you doing?" and shoved the helmet on his head, but realized that it would have been too late. He took a couple oxidized... I'm going to drink a little bit more water here.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing. Get them vocal cords all glistening and wet. There you go. Mm.
There you go. He took a couple oxygen-rich breaths and looked at Chadwick, who was now outside looking at him. What are you moaning about now? I guess there's some sort of force field that keeps our air in and that air out, Desmond said. Chadwick eyed the facility and then at Desmond again. Yeah, I guess so. I didn't know that. Super interesting. Can we go now? Desmond grimaced and finished putting on his egg-white jumpsuit. You easily to have me dead just from not giving a shit, he said, screwing the fishbowl helmet onto the jumpsuit's collar. But Chadwick was gone. Fine, jerk. He turned to his trusty space eagle. Hawking, we don't have a pressurized suit that can fit you, and it's super hot out there. You'd get roasted. Hang in tight and stay here till we get back.
Poor Hawking.
Hawking crowed and hopped over to his makeshift nest of coiled extension cords and spare cables.
Oh, that's so sad. That's probably the saddest thing you've written.
Alright. Desmond hopped out of the ship and landed on the surface, about 5% as soon as he felt like he should have. Because it's low gravity, man.
Yeah.
He looked up and saw that Chadwick was just hopping across the rocky plains towards the facility because it was obvious that leaps and bounds to get from point A to point B were leaps and bounds faster than just trying to run on a low-gravity planet. Desmond leapt towards the facility and eventually, while rounding a corner, saw a flabbergasted Chadwick taking some steps back from the metal building in absolute awe. "What's up, man?" Desmond said while approaching where Desmond was. Desmond said while approaching where Chadwick was. That's a typo. But after a few quick hops, it was obvious what he was staring at. "There is a huge gaping hole in the side of this building," Chadwick said, and it was true. The walls were 6 feet thick with reinforced titanium alloy, but the edges of the hole suggested that it was somehow peeled away like cardboard.
Wow.
Desmond looked at the inside of the hole, and his Geiger counter was just tick-tick-ticking. Chadwick approached Desmond. "You see anything? This isn't a correctional facility or a prison. This is just a metal cube. There's literally nothing inside here." Chadwick looked at the edges. "Here's something doubly scary. These burn marks look like they were caused by an energy source that only nuclear weapons can generate, and, we'll examine my, plasma rifle here." He shot at the titanium wall with a red bolt, which barely left a mark and ricocheted off. "That's what that does." Desmond looked at his machete and activated a switch that enveloped the whole of the titanium blade with a hot red-orange plasma. He attempted to thrust it into the wall, but to no avail. Chadwick looked at Desmond. Our weapons tech is the Oyster's ice skates. We have the best there is. My ship can fire lasers that could probably knock a moon out of orbit, but there's no way that kind of firepower could be focused on a beam this fine to puncture a hole like this without damaging at least the rest of this building. Desmond nodded and exited the titanium dungeon, then looked down a nearby canyon and saw what appeared to be the mouth of a cave. He hopped off in that general direction. Chadwick followed. "Listen, Galrod, or whatever his name was, is owning the weaponry that can pretty much harness the power of the sun into one door-sized hole. I don't think it's a good idea to go looking for him. We should probably cut all our ties with the Venus freaks and go on our own." Des continued on his low-gravity jog towards the cave. "We've been out and about earning these dudes' trust for like a month now. I think if we've got a bounty on our heads from the Martian Empire, we might as well use the Venusians' hatred of the Martians to our advantage. That way, if we get captured by the Martians, we could have a rescue team show up and help us out like we're doing to this guy right now." Logic. That's Desmond.
It makes sense.
This is Desmond's brains, man.
I think he's the brains.
Good thing. Good thing I made that a thing, because I had no place for him otherwise. "They didn't say they wanted to lock us up, Dalmatian." Oh, sorry. Chadwick said, "They didn't say they wanted to lock us up. Dalmatian just said he was going to beat us up with his wiry arms and then let us go." Desmond rubbed his head. "Yeah, I guess you're right. Why are we even here?" Suddenly, the sky screamed and a giant-ass spaceship came barreling down from behind the facility straight towards our heroes. What the hell is that?" Chadwick asked. It did like 7 flips. Drifted sharply to the left and revealed 6 Gatling guns that immediately sputtered to life as the metal door slid from their mini barrels like a sliding cabinet. Chadwick asked once more, this time screaming, "What the hell is that?" Desmond leapt behind a rock while all the surrounding rocks were blasted to bits. Chadwick vaulted for the cave. An intercom blared. Sorry, we actually forgot we weren't supposed to kill you. But we are the bounty hunters that Dalmatian hired to kick your ass and bring you guys back to him."
At least they're polite.
"He actually got them this time?" Desmond shouted.
Peeking the audio, jeez.
"Don't worry, we won't fire the Gatling guns at you again, but we do have like some other really cool weapons that we're gonna dismember you with. We could. Be relieved, again, we are not going to try and kill you, else we won't get paid as much." Desmond arched his neck at the cave to see if Chadwick was hearing of this, but he was gone like yesterday's yesterday. He retreated like a man would if fired at by a hexagon of all Gatling guns.
What an analogy.
Yep. That's exactly what happened.
That is.
Now, Chadwick's understandable approach to the situation to leave was, as said, understandable to Desmond, but like usual, he couldn't help but feel a shit ton of resentment towards that cowardly weasel, as this wasn't the first time Chadwick threw Desmond under the bus for his own safety. Although Desmond was at least hesitant to outwardly state that Chadwick's life was less important than his own. Chadwick had no... More water, please.
Water.
Water. Get you some.
Get you some.
Although Desmond was at... Yeah, Chadwick had no qualms letting the world know that his life was most important to himself. Chadwick represented an honest selfishness that Desmond could identify with. Mike, please.
Is Deadman foreshadowing?
Perhaps.
Perhaps. Bum bum bum.
Chadwick represented an honest selfishness that Desmond could identify with himself. Because of this honesty, in many instances, Desmond enjoyed Chadwick's company as a refreshing truth that people only care about themselves, and friendship is really just the secure feeling of one's higher chances of long-term survival. But also in many instances, Desmond hated Chadwick because of his resulting rudeness. The ship began to lower itself as the thrusters kept it levitating, and 4 hoof-shaped feet extended from the bottom of the ship. The legs extended themselves, and a huge neigh echoed across the canyon sides. What the hell is this? Some jamming sick rock music echoed as a ramp extended upward. You ready for this, benches? A gravelly voice shouted. That wasn't... You ready for this, benches? A gravelly voice shouted. 4 hover cycles ramped off the inclined plane and hover landed on the ground.
How do you hover land?
You land, but you're hovering.
Okay.
How low does a speeder get to the ground from Star Wars? That's how they landed. I didn't know what else to say. Before revving engines and coming directly towards the mouth of the cave. Not looking to get cornered, Desmond dashed towards the wham ass away from the cave. Chadwick! Chadwick, help! Well, that certainly sounds like some shit I don't want to get involved with, Chadwick said to his newfound friend, now hiding in the cave. Yeah, nice of us to meet under these circumstances. I thought I'd be here for a bit longer of time. I thought I'd be here for a longer bit of time. But that's...
a bit longer of time.
Yeah, it's dyslexics. Six. Growlard said. Chadwick attempted to wipe sweat from his brow, but realized he couldn't because he was wearing a fishbowl helmet. Who are you anyway, and why don't you have to wear one of these? My name is Growlard, and I am a Starman. Chadwick paused and stared at Growlard, realizing he was the guy he was looking for, and also the guy who may or may not have the weaponry to cause the melted hole in the titanium dungeon wall from earlier. Oh my glob. Meanwhile, Desmond was under heavy fire. Lasers and gunshots aiming specifically for his arms and legs just fluttered around him. Help! He flailed his limbs helplessly between each low-gravity bound. For fuck's sake, help, Chadwick, help! Wait. One member of the hover cycle gang did a U-turn and motioned towards the mouth of the cave. I see a couple more up there. I think one of them is the escaped prisoner. Cool! Tell them if they don't get their asses down here, we'll laser this one's arms off. Desmond didn't really get a good look at the folks until now. They seemed to be wearing completely black space suits, but their gloves and boots were pearly white in cover, and it looked really cool, especially the hoods that were over their heads. Cooler than Desmond's yellowy beige, thrifty Goodwill spacesuit. Your spacesuit is not as cool as ours, said the man standing over him. You can tell a lot about how badass someone is by the color of their spacesuit. Cool people wear spacesuits that are orange or black. Only idiots wear brown suits or whatever the fuck that color is. Aww. He kicked him in the ribs. Chadwick and Growlard were brought down to Desmond's level by another horseman. I just spoiled that they're horsemen. I didn't even write it down! Chadwick and Growlard were brought down to Desmond's level as they were sat down next to him, all on their knees. Who are you people? We're bounty hunters from the Horsehead Nebula, said one. You better believe it, Buster, said another. Some call us awesome. Some call us badasses. But we like to call ourselves. They all threw their hoods back, revealing horse heads that sat in juxtaposition on their man shoulders. The 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse! Oh, jeez. Something dramatically exploded behind them, but they were busy posing, so they didn't check to see what it was. The horse-headed man in the forefront had a blood-red mane and extremely bloodshot eyes. I am War, and I'll laser your arms and legs off if you try to escape my wrath. The one that had brought Chadwick and Growlard up to the front stood beside War. His fur was almost completely pitch black to match his suit, and he had glowing, almost otherworldly green eyes. "I am Pestilence," he said before going into a coughing fit. I probably should have said, "I am Pestilence," and just started coughing and
Acting.
stuff. Yeah, acting. I think I'll just cough for him from now on instead of saying he went into a coughing fit. That's Pestilence.
That's Pestilence.
Right. One horse with kind of pasty white features had normal old dark-colored eyes. Nothing really unusual going on with his face. "I'm Death," he said matter-of-factly. Chadwick pointed out the furthest back. Why does that one have a hippo head? "I'm Famine," he said. "You're the fattest out of all of them. War looks like he's going to murder somebody. Pestilence coughs when he talks. Death is kind of like stone cold nonchalant about everything. But you're just a fat-ass hippopotamus man. Well, how do you fit the hippo-headed man flip shit? I'm hungry. But you're not a horse. I was the last to get the treatment, okay? Doctor ran out of horse heads. Horse heads are coming down."
The doctor.
Excuse me, everyone. The doctor ran out of horse heads we were going to use. The doctor ran out of the horse heads we were going to use. Horse heads are hard to come by, so I got the hippo head instead. Hippo even means horse in Latin anyway. Chadwick said, "Latin? Bullshit. What planet is that from?" The hippo man waved his chubby mitts in the air. "Earth! Yeah, don't believe you. There are only 3 languages there. Linguish, Spanglish, and Malaysian, alright? Were only 3 languages there," Desmond interrupted. Earth's not a thing anymore. "Listen, we're not here for a history lesson," War said. Oh, that's supposed to be more gravelly. We're here to take you back to King Dalmatian, so come on, let's go." He guided them to their spaceship, but when they turned out it was their spaceship that had exploded earlier.
I knew it. I was going to say something. I just held back because I knew that was going to happen.
Yep. Open-mouthed, the bounty hunter stared at the smoldering remnants of what was once more... Okay, the bounty hunter stared at the smoldering remnants of what was once more than just a scatter of metal chunks and malfunctioning computer bits. A blaring call could be heard over a loudspeaker, and the wham-ass glided into a clearing, shooting lasers all over the place. Canyons and mountains exploded all around them. "Oh my god, it's Hawking!" Desmond screamed. A laser blast shot out of the massive winged spaceship and hit the canyon side closest to everyone. "Holy jeez, everybody get..." Pestilence stumbled over and hit his horse nose on the ground. Chadwick, Desmond, and Growlard used this opportunity to run from the scene. War darted after them. Famine started to run, then turned around and saw Death kind of standing there doing nothing. "Death!" Famine cried out. "Well, I'm dead," Death said before one of the several boulders came barreling down, landed directly on top of the horseman, crushing him to bits. Death died.
Oh, jeez.
Famine turned his back on the smushed friend and charged towards the trio of escaping bounties behind War. Pestilence pushed himself back up, and noticing his nose was burning, he reached into his pocket, got out a jar of coolant cream, and applied it to his nostrilless horse nose before starting back up after the rest of the people. Now you might be wondering, why doesn't Pestilence have nostrils? Well, it's because he's a space animal, of course. One of the several types of space animals that are genetically modified to support their own existence through the specific use of a nearly 100% efficient digestive system.
Take that, internet stranger.
Yeah. Rather than the oxygenation of blood, they use the digestive tract. I didn't type that. Being able to survive in a vacuum doesn't make a creator invincible, though, as he still has to worry about radiation sickness and poisoning, and burns from the hot atmospheric temperatures, which is why Hawking hadn't joined them. Other than that, you might still be wondering different things like, well, how can they talk without the lungs to push air through vocal cords? How does Hawking make cawing noises? More importantly, why exactly does Pestilence cough so much if he doesn't have any lungs? Well, that is a very good point, and here's your explanation. You ready? Ready for this, Truman?
I'm ready.
Here's the explanation. 1, 2, 3. It's a mystery.
Oh.
Meanwhile, Hawking the Space Eagle was pecking around at the controls, fluttering around the keyboard because he was bored as fuck. What this resulted in was the Wham-Ass doing even more 360s and shooting lasers in just all sorts of directions. Upwards, downwards, leftwards, eastwards, all sorts of directions. Caw! Caw! It was raining dust and gravel every which way, just all over our heroes. Growler turned around and punched War right in the horse nose, and War let out a cry, stumbling on the ground. My nose! You literally just broke my horse nose! Growler jumped back while Chadwick laughed at the horseman rolling around the ground. Oh, shit! Oh my god, I am so sorry. I keep forgetting that my skin is made completely out of diamonds, Growler shouted.
Jeez.
Chadwick continued to laugh. Wait a minute, what? Famine got out his laser gun and aimed at Desmond. Chadwick brought out his plasma rifle, set it to microwave, and shot a red bolt that struck Famine's arm, and it exploded.
Oh, jeez.
Famine's arm just exploded into a paste. My arm! He fell over onto the ground. More water, please.
Please, please.
Man, all this mercury burning atmosphere is making me thirsty. Alright. Pestilence caught up to the crowd to see Famine rolling on the ground with one arm, and just thick blood and torn sleeve all over the place was where his other arm was supposed to be. He saw War clutching his shattered nose. He also remembered seeing Death get crushed by the rock earlier. He dropped his gun. I give up, and he raised his arms into the air. Chadwick mazered Pestilence's arm off, and it exploded, and he just fell to the ground in a coughing fit. What the heck did you do that for? Desmond asked. I thought he was about to throw a knife at us when he threw his hand up, Chadwick replied. Famine grabbed a walkie-talkie from his spacesuit pocket and yelled into it, Help! Just then, a tribe of gorilla-like rock people exited the cave and started trotting down to where the rest of the people were. Bags packed, ready to go on an adventure. We ready to go now? We ready to go now, the chieftain Marblow said to Growlard. I didn't know you guys could talk, Growlard said. Growlard looked at his new friends, Desmond and Chadwick. Well, I guess we're all set. Let's go back to Venus now, shall we? You're just going to leave us here and let us die? War asked angrily. Famine was like, that's what I typed. No, it's okay, bro. I got Dachshund on the other line. He's be sending us a rescue party. I think this Mercurian atmosphere is boiling my shoulder socket. Pestilence was rubbing coolant cream into his open wound.
Oh, gross.
I don't know if this is a good thing to do, but it feels really nice and numb when I do. He tossed it to Famine, who began to do the same thing, rubbing coolant cream right into his open wound. War stood up, holding his bloody, shattered face in his gloved hand. We'll get you guys one day, and when we do, we are going to laser your arms and legs off and mail you to Dalmatian as a punching bag. Sounds great, Desmond said. In the meantime, have fun getting some more animal pieces sewed onto those microwave wounds, and you have fun finding a new horse head. I heard they're rare to come by these days.
Oh, sick burn, bro.
He grinned at Famine. The Wham-Ass 360'd right over the heroic party, and Chadwick jumped and slapped the rusty button under the hull of the spaceship, and instantly, all our heroes were teleported directly into the spaceship. Hawking, Chadwick, Desmond, Growlard, Marblow, and all 15-plus other rockmen, all just packed into the Winnebago-sized interior of the Wham-Ass. Probably should have thought this out a little better, Chadwick said. Desmond nodded. Well, you guys want to go to Venus? Hell yeah, Marblow said. That's where all the hot chicks are.
Oh.
That's Dwayne The Rock Johnson speaking.
Jeez.
And so concludes today's story. What adventures will our heroes partake in the next episode? What will happen, or in the next story, what will happen to their newfound enemies, War, Pestilence, and Famine? What exactly is the secret behind Growlard's superpowers? Find out next story time episode of The Chatmen. But-up-bum!
But-up-bum.
So there you go.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well worth the wait.
Yeah. I think I did a pretty good job on this one.
That's pretty
good. This might be the best one. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
Either this one or the first one.
It's kind of a slow start, but it redeemed itself at the end. I enjoyed that. Good job, Phil.
Yep.
Phil,
got any questions?
No, I did have a thought when Hawking was just pecking and stuff. Was he just like flapping around the cockpit?
Flapping around,
Just
stomping on him with his
okay.
little legs.
That's what I saw in my brain. Just want to
Good.
make sure that was a thing. And we've got a special treat for our listeners. We're going to change up our intermission music because Phil has been listening to some royalty-free tracks and just keeps playing one over and over and over.
Guys, you're gonna love this song. I freaking love it. If you like kazoos, here you go.
Who doesn't?
Here you go.
Me. I don't.
Here you go.
So listen to some what was it, Cherry Pup?
Intermission.
I want to let everybody know that we actually did listen to that intermission music in real life as we were getting fresh cups of water. Phil, that was a grand story you told. Science and fiction and fantasy.
Yeah.
And explosions and rockmen and puns. Not puns, really, but jokes. Good jokes.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. I worked harder on this one than I did all the other ones.
I'm going to increase my font size here so it's a little easier to read because I got bad eyes. Not really. But, okay, so I've got a story now, Phil.
All right, let's hear it. What's the title of this story?
The title is, I had one. I literally had one. It's not what the document is saved as. I remember it. My story's called An Unlikely Friendship. Like Phil and I.
Oh. How is that unlikely?
Because I'm strong and handsome and you're like a rat with glasses.
Oh, okay.
I
don't wear glasses.
Phil and I are good friends.
We were fine pals.
But not the friends in this story. This is an unlikely friendship. Cue the music.
Do I get music in my story?
Yeah, I always put music in.
Oh, okay. Well,
we're just talking over the music right now.
Go on with your story.
Okay, I'll start the story. Music's still playing. So,
all right.
Hogarth was trying to catch his breath. He knew the mob was right on his tail. All this fuss over just a couple hundred pieces of gold. The nerve of some people. "He's this way, men!" roared the bulkiest of the pursuers. Hogarth honestly couldn't see the difference between this group of meatheads and a bunch of dumb bloodhounds. They had literally been chasing him for over 2 hours. He wasn't going to be able to fight his way out of the group of men, so Hogarth knew that he would have to think up a plan. Grabbing a handful of froth berries from a nearby bush, the scrawny thief sprinted forward. As he ran, Hogarth spied an extremely prickly-looking hedge in the path. With all his effort, Hogarth dove into the very center of the plant, getting his clothes and skin torn in the process. Once again, he waited.
Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Did you name him after the Iron Giant Hogarth used? Because that's all I'm thinking of in my head right now.
And I kind of wish I didn't pick Hogarth because it's turned to be a hard name to use.
Yeah, you think Chadwick, Desmond?
Desmond's not too bad.
Yeah, it's hard
Hogarth,
for me to say. I keep calling him Deadman.
Deadman.
Anyway, go on.
You hear that? Sounds like he's close. Yelled one of the men from his gaping underbite.
I could see that just being a really loud volume,
yeah.
With the same intensity.
Yeah. Yelled one of the men from his gaping underbite. The party of angry townsfolk was slowly approaching Hogarth. From within his nest of barbs and thorns, Hogarth knew the froth berries.
Fairies?
Hogarth threw the froth berries
into
his mouth. With a crunch, his mouth began to foam. He could see the feet of the mob surrounding the bush. Showtime, he thought.
Oh, snap.
Erupting from the bush, Hogarth began moaning and clawing at the air.
Oh, jeez.
All his work at the Mossy Branch Theater Company was finally paying off.
Oh, jeez.
The group of men all took a step back, away from the bush. Bleeding and ragged, Hogarth slowly pushed his way out of the hedge. He purposely put all his weight onto one leg and made sure to constantly keep his eyes shifting rapidly back and forth. "Sir," said one of the lackeys, "what's wrong with this guy?" The mood of the group was rapidly turning to fear as Hogarth's actions became more and more erratic. "Come on, men, don't just stand there. Grab that rat!" yelled the head honcho, but the group stood still. Suddenly, Hogarth fell silent, letting his arms drop limp to his sides. The froth in his mouth dripped and hit the ground. "Now! Get him now!" One brave man reached out to grab the thief. Timidly, his hand finally grasped Hogarth's arm. "Get off of me!" Hogarth yelled with all his might as he grabbed the man's hand, pulling himself close to his face. Punching and clawing, Hogarth stared, never blinking, deep into the man's soul.
Oh, crap.
"Shit! This guy's a freak! Help me!" yelled the dumbfounded man as he tried to release his arm from Hogarth's grasp.
This is horrifying.
The rest of the men panicked and ran from the scuffle. Hogarth placed his foot behind the large man's leg and managed to shift his weight. Without ever breaking his eye contact, Hogarth collapsed the man to the ground. The struggle lasted for a few minutes before Hogarth was finally flung off the man's chest. As soon as he was free, the man stumbled to his feet and ran, screaming, back toward the rest of the scurrying men. "Oh man, at least that plan worked. These berries taste like an orc's armpit," Hogarth mumbled as he attempted to rid his mouth of the foam. "These were my favorite pants too, jeez. At least I made it out of there with a sweet payday." The thief chuckled. That's not even close. The thief chuckled as he reached into his pocket. As he produced a leather bag, he noticed something was off. It was definitely a heavier bag when he left town. "Great. Looks like I snagged this damn thing back in that bush," he said as he examined a hole in the bottom of the pouch. Walking back toward the bush he had just erupted from, Hogarth saw something glistening and moving along the ground. Little creatures were making off with all the gems he had lost.
Oh.
No. I worked hard. I worked too hard for those. Hogarth had now become the pursuer of some even smaller thieves.
Oh.
"Come back here, you dirty little shit!" he yelled as he was sprinting. The group of pixies split and began scurrying in every direction. One of the slower pixies tripped and dropped its gem. Hogarth dove at the ground, but the pixie recovered and ran into the nearest tree stump. Laying in the dirt, Hogarth picked up the single emerald. All that damn effort for a single gem. With a sigh, he let his face fall flat onto the ground. "This'll only buy me 2 loaves of bread, if that." Sulking with his loss, Hogarth rolled onto his back.
1 emerald gets you 2 loaves of bread,
It's
and
not
that's
a very
it?
big emerald.
Okay.
It's not like a Legend of
Okay.
Zelda rupee.
Yeah, I was kind of picturing that in my head for some reason.
It's a lesser gem. It's not
Okay.
like...
Okay.
Water. Sulking with his loss, Hogarth rolled onto his back. Looking up into the trees, Hogarth thought about the events that had brought him to his life of thievery. His theater degree was just barely paying off. As he lay on the ground, Hogarth thought he heard the strumming of a lute. It wasn't the best sounding song, but it surely was getting closer and closer. Finally, Hogarth turned his head down toward his chest, where he spied a man standing by his legs. "Hello, sir. Nice day for a snooze, isn't it?" This man was dressed very differently from the people Hogarth usually associated with. His outfit was outlandish and impractical. The collar around his neck was frilly, and there were bells on his shoes. "Many a time I myself have considered lying down for a little nap whilst I was walking around the forest. Personally, I would have chosen somewhere a bit sunnier. The foliage of these oaks are beautiful, but I would rather stare up into the sky and watch the clouds, just watching as big puffy rabbits and elephants drift across the sky. This one time I saw a cloud that looked exactly like my old dog Raleigh. Well, I say exactly, but it wasn't that accurate. The head was a bit small and he only had 3 legs."
Okay.
Who are you?" Hogarth said from his place on the ground. "Why, me? My name is none other than Tim Tom Fiddlebum. I'm a wandering minstrel that hails from Eastwood Village.
That's the best name I've ever heard.
Well, when I say Eastwood, it's actually closer to North Eastwood Village. See, I was born in Eastwood, but my parents moved up to North Eastwood. Most of my childhood was spent in North Eastwood, so I just like to think of it as my... Tim, was it? Hogarth replied, cutting the minstrel's story short. Do you by any chance have some gold you'd share with someone down on their luck? He asked as he stood up, brushing the dirt from his legs. Gold? Oh, heavens no. All I've got is my songs and a pocket full of smiles. Oh, and my precious treasure Barbara, chuckled Tim. Barbara? Hogarth asked half-heartedly as he began to walk away from the strange man. Without missing a beat, Tim Tom Fiddlebum skipped up next to Hogarth and began to walk with him. Actually, Barbara's just a cute little pet name I have given my lute. She and I travel wherever we please, sharing the gift of music with everyone. There was an annoying sing-song way that the minstrel said everything. Here and there, to and fro, hither and yon, wherever there's an ear to listen, we'll go. Hogarth began to speed up his gait. I've got years and years worth of stories and songs that I've gathered in my travels. Barbara and I belt out our tales to anyone and every audience. And let me tell you, every time I bring joy to someone, I take that smile and I keep it close to my heart. Tim gingerly patted his shirt pocket. Where you headed, friend? Asked Hogarth sarcastically, but the minstrel wasn't fazed by his bad attitude. I should be asking you the same question, laughed the minstrel. The bells on his shoes jingled and jangled as the two walked through the forest. You seem to be moving awful quick for a stroll through the trees. Seems like you've got somewhere important to be, but me, I've got no map, no compass, and no worries. Nowhere that I've got to be. Like I was saying earlier, Barbara and I just wander around. That's why people call me a wandering minstrel. I go where I please. More like, please leave me alone, muttered Hogarth under his breath.
Whoa, snap!
That's the kind of thing that I say all the time.
Whoa!
Please leave me alone? Tim Tom paused momentarily in the path. After a few seconds, a hearty guffaw bellowed out of his chest. Still laughing, the minstrel jogged to catch back up with Hogarth. Please leave me alone. I'll have to remember that one. I like you. You're a pretty swell chap. If Barbara lets me, I think I'm gonna stick with you. We'll have a great time walking around this forest. Hey, if we see any clouds, I'll try to find another one that looks like Raleigh. Oh, you will love that. And with that, the two men continued to walk deeper and deeper into the forest. Water break.
Your water broke?
Oh, my water broke. I'm having
Whoa, we have to end the Chatmen episode and
that
go.
Was a great joke,
Take
Phil.
you to the hospital. Whoa! I did a good job.
That was a good job.
Yeah. Okay, go on.
After an hour or so, Hogarth and Tim Tom Fiddlebum found a clearing along the path. So there I was, with nothing but my loop strap. We were just laughing and laughing. Hey, shut up for a second. Something seems off. Hogarth stood still on the path, scanning around him. Slowly he crept. Slowly. That's what I wrote.
Wow!
He crept slowly forward into the middle
Emphasis on slow.
Very slow. Lee. Slowly he crept forward into the middle of the clearing, leaving Tim Tom at the tree line. The grass was matted down and damp with blood. Strewn on the ground was half an elk, and not the good half.
Oh.
What did you find, friend? Called out Tim. Hogarth stared him down, throwing his index finger to his lips. Is everything all right? Tim wouldn't stop shouting to Hogarth. As quietly as possible, Hogarth replied, Just move slowly and stay quiet. Oblivious to Hogarth's instructions, Tim merrily skipped toward Hogarth. His boots jingled as he moved around the bloody clearing. The jingling stopped when Tim found the elk carcass. For the first time in many years, the minstrel was silent. He stared at the torn and ripped flesh laying at his feet. Hogarth watched as his annoying companion stood dumbfounded. There was a shriek as Tim Tom realized what he was looking at. Tim screamed and screamed at the sudden clarity. What is this? What happened? Panic was setting in. Just keep moving, and for the love of God, stay quiet,
Jesus.
called Hogarth. They needed to leave, and they needed to do it now. Tim Tom's screaming was met with a roar from within the forest. Thundering footsteps could be heard in the distance. The sound grew louder and louder as Hogarth yelled back to his partner, "Oh, great! It's too late now! Run, Tim! We need to leave the clearing!" Hogarth didn't know why he was trying to help the walking annoyance of a man. That walking annoyance of a man. The beast was coming closer and closer. The minstrel stood frozen with fear in the middle of the clearing. Hogarth couldn't wait any longer. He had tried to help Tim Tom Fiddlebum, but there was only so much he was willing to risk. Hogarth fled into the dense fauna, climbing the tallest and sturdiest tree he could find. The roar was deafening, and Hogarth could see trees getting uprooted in the distance.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, shit.
Trees flew out of the ground as the beast entered the clearing. Towering over the minstrel was a massive crocorilla.
Oh my God. Crocorilla? That's like from, what episode was that?
The first one.
The first episode, my God.
"What do I do? What do I do?" yelled Tom as he stood face to face with the monstrous creature. "You're a minstrel, right? Maybe you should play some music and put that thing to sleep," yelled Hogarth from his perch. "I mean, you're kinda out of options." "Barbara, I love you, baby." The minstrel's fingers trembled as he reached for his trusty lute. "Give me one last song." Timidly, he began to strum the instrument. Even though fear robbed him of his breath, Fiddlebum squeezed out a song. "My hands are cold, and I'm pretty scared, but I'm trying to act like I just don't care. The stench of your breath burns my nose. Fear is within me, and I think it shows. You're my friend, Mr. Crocorilla." Sitting in his treetop perch, Hogarth cringed. He knew that this was it for the minstrel. In a few moments, that Crocorilla was going to have a stomach full of frilled collars, shoe bells, and lute wood. Hogarth turned his head, closing his eyes. He wasn't the best of friends with this minstrel, but he didn't want to see him devoured like this. But where the sounds of bones breaking and flesh ripping, there was only the sound of that horrible song. "From town to town I share my love, my beautiful voice like the song..." Voice. "My beautiful voice like the song of a dove. Just me and you and Barbara, my lute. I think this friendship is pretty cute. You're my friend, Mr. Crocorilla." Yep. Any moment now. Hogarth was kind of shocked. Usually crocorillas were savage animals that don't hesitate to shred their prey. Why?
I'm so scared, man.
Why was it just standing there? Not that he wanted to see the mauling, but something felt wrong about this whole situation. Gotta take a drink.
Okay. You go.
"The three of us like the legs of a cloud. You're my friend and that makes me proud. Even my buddy over there in that tree. I write you all this symphony. You're my friend, Mr. Crocorilla." Hogarth was starting to feel sick.
I love this song.
The constant feeling of dread and panic was nauseating. The inevitable end to this whole event was eventually going to happen. But why was it taking so long? "Barbara's voice is beautiful strings. Together we sing about anything. Dancing to our happy tunes. People probably think that I'm a loon. You're my friend, Mr. Crocorilla." Crawling down from the tree, Hogarth was puzzled. He looked out at the field. Yeah, that Crocorilla was still standing there, lips snarled and teeth showing. It was almost like time had stopped. Everything was still except for that stupid gesture of a minstrel. He was still jamming on his little lute. "Bells on my shoes, I dance a jig. Who wouldn't have thought you'd be so big?" That is not a word that I wrote. Wouldn't. It's wouldn't have thought compressed down into
one word.
One word.
One contraction.
Wouldn't have thought you'd be so big. A furry back and a scaly snout. You're some beast I'll sing about. You're my friend, Mr. Crocorilla. Although it probably would have been wise to run, Hogarth was puzzled. He nonchalantly walked out into the field to see what was happening. At this point, Tim Tom Fiddlebomb wasn't even looking at the massive beast in front of his eyes. He was too busy singing and doing a stupid little dance. Beautiful trees and a wonderful sky. I think I'd be happy if I died. 'Cause I've got a song and I've got a smile. I hope you like my musical style. You're my friend, Mr. Crocodilla.
What a badass.
With one last lute solo, Tom finally completed his song. Thank you, one and all, for this wonderful chance to spread my smiles. He reached into his pocket and tossed a handful of sparkling dust into the air. Then he began bowing to his non-existent audience. He just kept bowing and bowing. Hogarth finally couldn't take it anymore. Hey, idiot! Aren't you forgetting something? From a few feet away, Hogarth signaled at the Crocodilla. The monstrous beast was still in the same pose it had been for the last half hour. Half hour.
Half hour.
He sang for half an hour. By the way, I didn't want to write half an hour with the lyrics.
That's fine. It felt like half an hour.
It did. Mm-hmm. Oh, don't worry about him. He's my friend now, called the minstrel. He reached up and patted the Crocodilla on its snout.
Aww.
Timidly, Hogarth approached the beast. Coming from behind, he could hear the beast's breath. It was still alive, all right. But something was definitely odd. From Hogarth's life of traveling and adventure, he had never seen a Crocodilla freeze like this one had. I bet you think I improvised that song, didn't you? Chuckled Tim. Nah, I just simply changed a few words around. I originally wrote that song to impress a pack of iguana bears.
Oh, shit.
That time I did improvise it, and that song has just kind of stuck with me. Even every animal who hears it will stop its fussing and become my friend.
Iguana bears.
Iguana bears. I've made so many friends in my life. Fiddlebomb was extremely pleased with himself. Hogarth walked around to face the Crocodilla head on. Oh, shit! Hogarth jumped back from the beast and stumbled and fell to the ground. What did you do, Tom? I told you. I made him stop being so grumpy. He's my friend now.
What happened?
Tim Tom Fiddlebum rubbed the Crocodilla's snout again. From his spot on the ground, Hogarth watched as a bloody froth dripped from the Crocodilla's gaping mouth. Even the beast's animal eyes showed the pain of its tortured soul.
Oh my god! Alright, continue.
Internally, the beast was dying, and there was nothing it could do. Its breath was labored, and its muscles twitched. This has been so fun, Hogarth, sir. The minstrel helped Hogarth to his feet. But I'm not a man who sticks around one place for too long. If you're ever in need of a song and find yourself in Eastwood Village, look me up. But until then, keep a smile on your face. Tim Tom Fiddlebomb winked at Hogarth. Come on, Barbara, let's go buy you some fancy new strings. And with that, the minstrel strolled down the forest path. Hogarth and the Crocodilla stood frozen as they watched the strange man vanish into the forest. The events that Hogarth just witnessed were so strange and foreign that he could have sworn those froth berries had poisoned him. Looking back at the huge Crocodilla, any thought of the day being a dream or some kind of drunken haze vanished. There was definitely a huge Crocodilla beside him, frozen in pain. Finally, the Crocodilla began to move once again. It slowly closed its mouth. With the last of its strength, it turned to look Hogarth directly in the eyes. Hogarth could tell that if crocodillas could cry, it would be doing so right now. It gagged on the blood that had collected in its throat, and coughed a cloud of foamy red mist as it collapsed on the ground. It was dead. The end. That's it.
Oh my god! Oh my! I forget we're doing a show. I gotta. Oh my goodness! Well, that was definitely, yeah. I was like curled up at the side of the couch here. Just it was just story time for me. I shut right up and.
See, originally I was gonna write this really depressing story about a dwarf, and then I was like, nah, I've got this story saved up, so I just told this one instead.
That is certainly probably the best story that you've told so far, that either of us have told on this show before.
Oh, thanks.
Oh my goodness, guys. I don't know what you guys thought about that, but you should definitely write a comment or talk about. Send us an email. Or just anything you want to do. How do we wrap up shows again? I gotta forget.
I feel so gone mentally from this show.
Oh my god.
Guys, if you enjoyed the episode, click subscribe, click like, check out the links in the description, go to our Facebook page. Why don't you join us over on Facebook?
Why don't you do that?
Like we said in that video earlier this week, we're gonna try to start doing some new stuff on the channel.
Yes.
It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be fun. And if you want to know,
Hopefully.
if you want to see it,
Hopefully.
you want to be on the cutting edge
Of the things that are going on right now.
then we will let you know with that subscription on YouTube.
Yep. You'll just show up.
If you got any comments or something you want to write in an email, too long for comments, just send us an email at chatmenshow@gmail.com.
Wow, that was some really good information that you just gave us, Truman. Well done.
So, unless Phil's got something else, I think that's it for this episode.
We watched Godzilla vs. Megalon
Yeah, that
recently.
movie's good. It's got Jet Jaguar in it.
You guys should watch that. Go down to Hastings. They're selling a lot of Godzilla movies right now.
They are.
Pick yourself up Godzilla vs. Megalon. We watched quite a few. I think this one's like my favorite that we watched recently. Check it out. It's really, really funny. But, you know, that being said, I'm kind of just thinking about Truman's story. Not so much about my own story. I don't really know what else to say.
I think I'm ready to end this episode so I can turn the air conditioner back on because I am dying of heat.
All right. Don't need feedback music or feedback sounds on our thing. That being said,
We're done.
see you later.
Bye.
Bye.